Hello, hello. I promised a little tutorial, so I better make one. And my dogs are the audience today, so they're going to be active learners. Luna, Loki, yeah, good puppies. Okay, so let's go. Let's go, go, go. We already did the plasma membrane, so we don't need to go through this part again. So I'm going to get to the cell. Please look through the slides. Make sure you remember all of this. Exam one. Because it's going to come back to haunt us on the final exam. K. Okay, so what do we think this is? Cell wall in plants, and probably extracellular matrix in animals. Let's see, shall we? Oh, it's so cute. Yes, the primary cell wall, cellulose fiber, bundled into microfibrils, right? So they're a big mesh network of celluloses. Hydrophilic gelatinous polysaccharides. What's hydrophilic? Exam 1. Loves water. Gelatinous like jello. Polysaccharide. Sugar. Polymer. Yay. So example is pectin. So if you've ever made jam, pectin is something you put in there to gel up. Ooh. Little eraser. To gel up your jam or jelly, and it keeps the cell wall moist, right? Loving water. Okay, so primary cell wall helps shape the plant. Turgor pressure, remember we talked about that with the vacuole. The vacuole's full, then the cell can be nice and sturdy, that full of water, right? Remember the vacuole? Vacuole holds water in plant cells. And then if it's dehydrated, right, or hasn't had a lot of water, we call that wilting. And so then you can think about how, right, the cell wall's trying to hold on, but it's not going to be as good because there's not so much water in it, right? And so it would look like a wilt. The cell wall alone, this primary cell wall with the cellulose microfibrils and the pectin or these other polysaccharides in there as well, is not enough to hold up the entire plant without the turgor pressure of the water in there. So when there's lower water, you wilt. Okay, so primary cell wall, again, that fiber composites, again, fiber cellulose, right? Cellulose, crosslinks, pectin, right? Primary cell wall. Remember, they also have a plasma membrane. Every cell has a plasma membrane. It's just plants also have a cell wall. Ooh, some have a secondary cell wall. Ooh, lignin, the kind that forms wood, so a woody stem. They have extra cell wall. And that's it. Yay. For that. So much for that. Plant cell wall. Woo. Okay, what about outside of animal cells? There's no cell wall, but we have something that is a fiber composite. And in this case, they're talking about fibers, not cellulose. Not cellulose, not that kind of fiber. So it's kind of annoying that they even say that. So ECM, extracellular matrix, extra, outside, cellular, matrix. Ooh, the matrix. Okay, structural support. So it does stick cells together and provide some support, not like a cell wall, but some. So some here. Depends on the cell type. Ooh, so let's look, shall we? Yes, we shall. Okay. No cell walls, right? ECM, the cells secrete it, push it out, right? Oh, it is a gelatinous polysaccharide ground, but lots of protein. So there's polysaccharides, right, in here, but there's also lots of proteins, collagen, fibronectin, right? Kind of like a cytoskeleton outside. Not the same proteins, but you can think of it that way. And then it's holding these jelly polysaccharides. in place. And so if we were going to do some sort of comparison, we'd say cell wall is polysaccharides, mostly, if you had to pick, and ECM, extracellular matrix, is mostly protein. Mostly. If you had a multiple choice question, that's what you would answer. And you have to know what polysaccharides are, right? The sugars, the carbs. Remember that. Final exam. All right, ECM, network of protein fibers. Again, gelatinous polysaccharides in there. The most common one is collagen, most common. Fodder for multiple choice questions. More elastic, right? So it's not as stiff as a cellulose cell wall. A flexible extracellular layer also helps cells stick together, protein-protein attachments, and it links directly to the cytoskeleton through the membrane. I'm sure there's a picture, but I'm going to draw you one anyways because I like to draw these little pictures. Woohoo! And so if you have, this is out and this is in the cell, you'd have a protein that goes all the way through. Amphipathic protein, right? Going out into the ECM and into the cytosol, the cytoplasm. Yay! And in here, we'd call it cytoskeleton. Woo! Nice. Okay. So here's a picture. Woo! Scanning electron micrograph. Same. Right? Collagen fibers running lengthwise, little fibrils. That's a cross-section of these guys. Contain many collagen molecules. Remember, these are proteins. Collagen is protein. ECM, connections to transmembrane proteins, right? Amphipathic. If they trans the membrane, they go through the membrane. Actin protein filaments in the cytoskeleton bind to transmembrane integrin proteins. Those are the guys sticking through. Also fibronectins, direct linkage, blah, blah, blah. We already talked about that. Ooh, if the ECM breaks down and they're not stuck together, metastasis may happen. What does that mean? That means cells escape from a tumor, right, and can go through bloodstream to other places and set up camp in other organs, and then it's all bad. Okay, so here's a nice, look at how pretty this is. This is colorized, but this is what they, what it might look like, what we think. And so here is our plasma membrane right there. This is actin, so this is our cytoskeleton. Integrins, right? Transmembrane, amphipathic, right? Hydrophilic, hydrophobic, hydrophilic. Laminin proteins. Ooh, here's some proteoglycans. Remember these guys? These are the proteins with these are glycoproteins that have the sugars attached to proteins. That's sugars on proteins we talked about. Woo! Right, collagen, protein. Collagen, protein. And all of this stuff would be called extracellular matrix. Woohoo! This little tutorial and you'll get another one. Thanks.